Welcome back to Mountain West Men's Basketball Media Days, powered by Air Force Reserve. I'm Jesse Kurtz, live in Colorado Springs. And it's time now to bring in the defending regular season champions in the Mountain West, the San Diego State Aztecs, and their head coach, Brian Dutcher. Coach, I appreciate you making some time for us. 30-2 a year ago in 2019. Obviously, the season was cut short. No teams were more disappointed than your club because of everything that you could have and probably would have achieved. I'm curious, though, how did that disappointment help fuel the guys that are coming back to make another run and get back to that position?
Thanks for having me, Jesse. I'm most disappointed for our seniors that didn't get to play in the tournament. Malachi Flynn, KJ Fagan, and Yanni Wetzel. You know, three really good players that didn't get to play on the biggest stage. Other than that, we've put that behind us. We're focused on this season. Want to get out and try to see if we can play really good basketball again this year at San Diego State.
If you have a question for Coach Dutcher, you can raise your virtual hand to enter the queue. You'll have a question and a follow-up question. Coach, last year you had some players that had yet to suit up for San Diego State, including your big three that obviously led you to some great things. This year, by count, 9 players on the roster that you might put out there have never played a game for San Diego State. I'm curious how last year, the blueprint last year, might be used this year with kind of a similar situation.
I mean, I love our experience. I want to stay old, and we added 2 fifth-year seniors. We have 3 regular seniors. We have 3 juniors. We have a sophomore that are all going to be counted on this year. And with that being said, I've got 3 really good freshmen. So we've got talent, we've got depth, and now we have to see if we can play like a team at both ends of the floor. And that's always been the trademark of San Diego State, playing at both ends, obviously defense setting the tone, and then playing unselfish basketball at the offensive end.
We have some questions in the queue already for you, Coach. So without further ado, let's go to the Casper Star Tribune and Davis Potter.
Hey, Brian. Wyoming hired a new coach in Jeff Linder, who was obviously on Leon's staff at Boise State a few years ago. I'm just curious, as long as you've been in the Mountain West, you guys have both been in the Mountain West, how familiar are you with him, and how might they look different just running his system?
You know, Coach Linder is been in the league, so he knows what it's about. And so we're all former assistants in this league. I was a longtime assistant for Steve Fisher, Justin Hudson, longtime Steve Fisher assistant, Craig Smith at Utah State, Nico Medved, former assistants in the Mountain West. And so Coach Linder knows what this league is about, and that will give him a leg up in preparing for the rigors of a Mountain West Conference season.
Coach, our next stop, the Albuquerque Journal and Jeff Grammer.
Dutch, how you doing?
Good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good. I feel bad being the killjoy on this press conference and asking all these coaches COVID questions, but New Mexico's in such a unique state right now. They're not even allowed to practice due to the governor's public health order. Are you I want to get the update on kind of what you guys have had to do preparation wise and what challenges you've had COVID wise. But I also want to ask other coaches just the idea that we're now 13, 14 days away from when the season's supposed to start, and the team's not even allowed to practice right now. What's your mindset of, or what's your thought on what UNM's kind of having to go through right now?
That's got to be hard on them, obviously, and Paul will make the best of the situation. We chose not to bring our team back in the summer with the restrictions we were under in the state of California. When we came back in the fall, we were shut down for a short period of time. But knock on wood, we've got a decent rhythm to preparation right now. But we're not naive enough to know we could get a phone call and a positive test at any moment and be shut down again. And so I just think this is a year like no other. We all know that, and we can't overreact to things. We just have to deal with situations as they come and try to do our best to prepare the kids to play basketball, but also to keep them in a good mental place.
Thanks. Good luck.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. Next question for you, Coach Brent Brigham from the Colorado Springs Gazette.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned your time as an assistant, and you were the only one who was around when Joe Scott was coaching Air Force the first time around. What do you remember about, his championship season and just the characteristics that defined his teams?
I loved Joe's teams back then, obviously, with Welch and Birchie and all those guys, and I remember those teams, and Joe did a great job coaching them. And I remember the arena was full of fans and it was electric in there. And I'm sure that's what his thoughts are again, to put that kind of team on the floor to fill that building and contend for a title. And so it's great to have Joe back in the league, and he knows the league as well as anybody. And so I know he'll have his team prepared and playing good basketball again with him, under him at Air Force.
And do you think that style translates, what he did in 04? Obviously, there's going to be wrinkles to it, but the basic mentality that he brought in 04, does that translate to 2020?
I think accountability, discipline, all those things that are part of the Air Force Academy. He will evolve as a coach like we all do. I mean, game doesn't stay the same. It changes every year. And so he will evolve what he's doing based on lessons he's learned along the way at Air Force, at Princeton, as an assistant at Georgia. And he'll bring all of that and continue to be the coach that he's always been, which is one that requires accountability and discipline in his program.
Thank you, Brent. Next question for you, Coach Dutcher, is Ajay Salvesen in Salt Lake City with the Fan.
Hey, Coach. Good morning. You and Utah State have become very familiar with each other in the past couple of years. With the absence of Sam Merrill, what do you see out of this team, and do you feel like they could still be a threat in the Mountain West Conference?
Craig's doing what we pride ourselves at San Diego State. We're not a one-hit wonder. We have a program. And so the faces change, but the base is there, and he's got a great base. And with Bean and Kada back to just start off their program, they're going to be good again. Those are two really good players, and the pieces around them that he has coming back, they're going to be competitive, and they have a program now. They're not a one-hit wonder.
And then I wanted to ask about Malachi Flynn. You lose him. What is the depth like at the backcourt position, both at point guard and in shooting guard?
We have great depth, and we'll have players like Trey Pulliam that played behind KJ and Malachi last year that didn't get the opportunity that he probably deserved. We'll have a chance to step out on the floor and showcase what he's about. And we're really excited about Trey. Obviously, Terrell Gomez, our fifth-year transfer from Northridge, is a first-team all-conference player from the Big West, and he's proven himself well in practice so far. And we have a lot of really good pieces. So the thing we're going to have to learn is how we're going to close games, and that's just all about playing now finally. So I like our pieces, and I like our team.
Thank you, Ajay. Next question from Jake Garignani from CBS in San Diego.
Hey, Dutch, I hope you're doing well. I think basketball, more than any sport, relies on a lot of energy from fans, especially Viejas, as you know, can get pretty crazy and bring a nice home court advantage. Have you talked to your players about, how to approach bringing your own energy? Is it going to be like playing a neutral site tournament, or what it's going to be like playing without fans?
It's going to be a different dynamic. Obviously, our fans have won us games at Viejas. If we get down, they never quit on us. They stay in the game, and they create a lot of energy for us at times. So it's going to be a year like no other, and that's going to be everywhere we play. We'll go to some places where they may have a certain percentage of the stands filled, but we'll bring our own energy. We'll play with great pride and passion and try to represent San Diego State the way we have over the years.
And I'm curious about expectations. Obviously, on the outside, expectations could be higher given the year you've come off of, but you've made it very clear that your guys' expectations are all you guys care about, and they're going to be higher than any outside expectations. What are your expectations going into this year, and what are the players' mindset on the expectations you guys have?
Our expectations are that we play passionate and perfect basketball at the defensive end, and that we share the ball on offense and try to find out who the hot hand is and know that from a game-to-game basis and ride that hot hand. So not a lot has changed since Steve Fisher was the coach here. It's a defensive program and a program that shares the ball at the offensive end.
Thank you, Jake. We have about 9 minutes or so left here with Coach Dutcher. If you have a question or if you have a follow-up question, you can raise your hand and we'll get you in the queue. Next question comes from the Associated Press and Bernie Wilson.
Hey, Dutch, how you doing?
Good, Bernie. How are you?
Good, thanks. Hey, the fifth-year senior thing, you guys have made it work over the years. I'm curious, how does the dynamic, the chemistry work when one group leaves and then you bring in another couple of them? You know, the chemistry, the dynamic.
Well, most of these kids that come here because they want to win at a high level. And as long as winning is the most important thing to them, then they fit in our program. And so we take great pride in getting to know these young men, whether they're incoming freshmen or fifth-year seniors, that winning is the most important thing, and that winning often requires sacrifice. And so the players we've had come into our program have all sacrificed for the good in the team. And I have no question that Terrell Gomez and Joshua Tomajic will fit that mold. They want to win, and they want to play good basketball.
Okay, and then a quick follow-up. What are you looking for from Matt Mitchell this year?
I want Matt to just continue his growth and development. You know, he's gotten better every year he's been here, and I would anticipate you'll see a better Matt Mitchell this year than you saw last year. I've talked to Matt a lot about his playmaking ability, that the best player has to be the best playmaker. And so Matt's done a good job in practice, increasing his court awareness, finding teammates, and yet when we need a basket, shown an ability to do that in practice so far.
Thank you, Bernie. Next up, the San Diego Union Tribune and Mark Ziegler.
Coach, who's a player on your roster right now that you think will emerge this year, play a key factor that maybe a lot of fans outside of San Diego or around the league maybe aren't that familiar with?
I think Jordan Shackle, he's a senior. He's gotten better every year he's been here. He works harder than most, and his game has improved. So Jordan's gotten better at both ends of the floor defensively. At the offensive end, he's shown an ability to be more creative off the bounce this year. So I would say Jordan Shackle, even though he's been in the program, his growth and development will give us the best chance to win games this year.
Thank you, Mark. If you have a question for Coach Dutcher, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll get you in queue. Coach, what about Nathan Mensah, a guy that started off well, 13 games before you had to shut him down? How is his health, and how good can he be for you this year?
Nathan is a difference maker. He's been a 2-year starter in our program. Obviously only played 13 games last year, but he is a full go in practice right now. He's looking good. He is improving. And so I think he will anchor our defense. He gives us a shot blocking ability that you need to be a good defensive team. And so it's great to have Nathan back and to see his progress on the floor.
And the program that you inherited from the legendary Coach Fisher, and then you have continued, I think it's a remarkable streak. 15 straight 19-win seasons. I mean, that puts you in the stratosphere. Only Kansas, Duke, Gonzaga, Louisville, Michigan State have longer such streaks. To inherit a program that has such high expectations, and for you and your staff and your players to continue to deliver, how satisfying is that from year to year?
We're excited by the opportunity to continue that tradition. We know what pressure is that only our best is going to do, and we want to continue to win. And San Diego State won't accept anything but winning. So it's pressure, but it's the kind of pressure we like.
And San Diego State, as you see there in the predicted order of finish, predicted number 1 by the Mountain West media. Next stop here for you, Coach Dutcher, is Darnay Tripp from NBC San Diego.
Hey, Dutch, good to see you. In terms of the empty arenas, you guys had the benefit of seeing the NBA go through it. Other leagues kind of deal with playing in silence and some of the maybe challenges with communication, that sort of thing. Have you had any conversations with people that experience at the NBA? Have you observed anything in particular just to kind of give you a better idea of the best way to kind of approach that once you guys get on the floor with another team?
Yeah, this week, for example, we piped some noise into the arena. So we're playing with some crowd noise as a background to play against. I think the team would like to turn it up so they wouldn't have to listen to me as much. So we may turn it up louder than it is in a normal game. But we're trying to do some things to give us that atmosphere without being distracting. And so it's the new normal for this year that we're going to play in empty arenas and going to have to generate our own enthusiasm, excitement on the floor, and I think we'll do that.
And going into the season or into practice, I guess, was it as simple as, in terms of your rotation, Jordan, Mitch, Mensah, then you figure out the other 2 spots? And if that's the case, have do you have a pretty clear idea of what 5 guys will be out there on November 25th to start your first game?
We're getting closer to that. But with that being said, there's a lineup I like to start the game, and there might be a lineup I like to close the game. And it might not be that same lineup. So we're going to have to play games to find out what that is. As much as we think we know ourselves, you're never really tested until you play another team. They expose weaknesses. They expose things you need to work on. And so we won't really know everything about our team until we step into game competition. And we're going to go right into the fire. Obviously, we open with UCLA here at Viejas Arena. It'll be a good first test for us to see where we are as a team.
Thank you, Darnay. Coach, what about that opportunity to play UCLA? Obviously, fans in San Diego have long wanted that game to be a packed house at Viejas. Understanding that won't be the case, but the opportunity to play at UCLA at home, what does that mean to your program?
It's going to be a great opportunity for us. Obviously, Mick Cronin and I have been longtime friends. I'm appreciative that he's bringing the Bruins down here to play in our MTE event along with Pepperdine and UC Irvine. So we're excited with that opportunity to open the season. But we've got other challenging games. We got Arizona State, obviously BYU, trying to finish up a contract right now with St. Mary's. And so we're going to be challenged in the non-conference schedule. But I think that's a good thing in these COVID times that we may not have as many games, but the games we've decided to play are all high-quality games.
Yeah, you guys have done a very good job of scheduling non-conference. Congratulations to you guys in what has been a tough time. Our last question for you, Coach, will come from BJ Raines with the Idaho Press-Tribune.
Yeah, Coach, was just doing something on Derek Alston being the preseason player of the year at Boise State. And obviously you've gone up against him the last couple of years. I'm just curious as an opposing coach, your thoughts on Derek. And I know you don't know Boise's roster probably inside and out, but him coming back, not going to the NBA, obviously changes Boise's roster.
Well, the thing I like about Derek is he's got swagger about him. And if swagger was a skill, he has that. You have to believe you're good, and he believes he's good. And that's the starting point. And so we'll look forward to the challenge to play against a very good Derek Alston when we have an opportunity to see Boise this year.
Thank you, BJ. And thank you, Coach Dutcher, for your time here today. There's no program that creates more excitement for Southern California, in the Mountain West, and nationally than yours. Congratulations on what you've done so far, and we look forward to another great season of Aztec basketball here in 2020-2021.
Thanks for having me, Jesse.
You bet. That's Brian Dutcher, the head coach of the defending regular season champions in the Mountain West, the San Diego State Aztecs, who once again are predicted by the league's media as the top team and the favorite to win a regular season championship in the Mountain West, picked first in the poll that was released yesterday here by the Mountain West. The Aztecs do return 3 starters from a year ago. Nathan Mensah, who missed a lot of last year because of health reasons, but he, by all accounts, back, as we heard from Coach Dutcher. Matt Mitchell and Jordan Shackle, the other returning starters for San Diego State. It's a team that ranked 3rd nationally in scoring defense. They've always been good at defense, dating back to the Steve Fisher era, and now under Brian Dutcher. Let's head back down to San Diego, California, and bring in an all-Mountain West performer, Matt Mitchell, the now leader of the San Diego State Aztecs. Matt, appreciate you making some time for us. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on.
You bet. It's great to see you. So this, by all accounts, is your team now. And Coach Dutcher's talked about what is going to be put on you as a leader, expectations, whether it's production on the court, leadership on the court, leadership off. How have you prepared yourself for that responsibility?
Man, it's just been a lot of mental thinking and physical preparation in the weight room, on the court, just taking everything one step at a time. I mean, when I came in here as a freshman, everything was moving 1,000 miles an hour. Now I feel like it's moving at like 5. So I'm able to maneuver and control things the way I want it to, and see how it goes. And this year is. I see it as no way to end in my senior year here, in my career here. I can't wait.
If you have a question for Matt Mitchell, please go ahead, raise your hand, enter the queue. We'll get you queued up and called upon. Our first question for you, Matt, is from Mark Ziegler from the San Diego Union-Tribune.
Hi, Matt. I asked Dutch the same thing. What player do you think is going to emerge this year that maybe people outside of San Diego aren't familiar with?
I would say, other than Jordan Shackle, I'd say Nathan Mensah. And last year, he proved to be a very big factor for us on the defensive end. But I think his offensive game is coming along really well also. And on both sides of the floor, he's going to look to dominate. And I see he can't do anything less. And I think the sky is the limit for Nate. I think that people are keeping him in their rearview mirror. And I think it's time for him to show some light and come to light.
And of the freshmen, what can you tell us about the freshmen? Is there one of the freshmen you feel like is emerging and is starting to establish himself?
Lamont Butler, he's definitely starting to establish himself. And he's a guy I've known for a while. We grew up playing together, playing against each other, and just watching him grow and his game grow has. You just seen it. Hindsight 2020. Just now, I think he's going to look to dominate over the course of his years here at San Diego State, and in his freshman year, look to play sound, elite basketball at a high level.
Thank you, Mark. Next up, Jake Garignani from CBS in San Diego.
Hey, Matt, you've never really struck me as a guy that ever took this game for granted, but I'm curious, has there been a renowned sense of thankfulness to be able to play basketball, given everything you've gone through, watching the game being taken away from your senior friends last year? I mean, how is your mindset of being able to play the game going into this year opposed to maybe years past?
Most definitely. You see a bit of that taken for granted aspect of it. And last year, just the dread to go to practice and the dread to go to the weight room and have to step up to the plate every day, and sometimes one a day off. And now you go into it and you have basketball taken away from you for those some odd months, and now you just come into it with the mindset that you're going to treat it like it's going to go away tomorrow again, because we know that possibility is there. So right now we're taking it one step at a time, cherishing all these moments that we have together by ourselves whenever we can get time in the gym. So right now we're really cherishing everything we have and taking everything into account.
With that being said, how much, with the season this close, how much are you guys chomping at the bit to get back out on the hardwood and play a competitive game?
Very much so. Very much so. We're chomping at the bit. Very close here. I mean, we're open against UCLA. Sorry about that. And so I see that as a really good point to see where our team is. And so I think just knowing that we are here a few weeks away, the guys just can't wait. Can't wait to get out there on the floor and compete. We compete every day in practice, and I think as it gets closer, we're going to get tired of competing against each other, and we're just ready to take out our frustration and our anger out on somebody else.
Thank you, Jake. Our next stop, Darnay Tripp with NBC7 in San Diego.
Hey, Matt, good to see you. I'm assuming that you caught some of the NBA games in the bubble. They had a completely different environment. I mean, kind of they essentially built an arena just for that setting. So it was a different setting from what you guys are going to experience. But Dutch said that you've practiced with some crowd noise. You got to observe that. Just curious your thoughts, having seen what they did, what the environment was like, maybe experiencing a bit of in practice, and what you expect it to be like once you guys are out in the game. Artificial crowd noise, no fans in the building.
You know what? I'm not expecting the best of any situation, just knowing we are at the college level. But I do know that the noise will be there, and it will be of assistance. But at the same time, we have to bring our own energy, and that's what it's going to be about for the amount of games that we have this year. So I'm not too worried about the crowd noise and what they can flush into the arena. I'm just more worried about the energy we bring to the table, and I think that we are second to no one when bringing energy coming off the bench, starting five, whoever it is. We are our own energy, and our fans created that, and they definitely won games for us and made a factor in my past years being here, and even years past and just watching games. But we definitely have to be our own energy this year, and we know that coming in, and we'll definitely step up to the plate.
Dutch said he wasn't ready to put out the starting five. I'll go out on a limb and guess that you're going to be one of those five that's on the floor when you guys start November 25th against UCLA. What have you seen just in terms of competition for those other spots and just the potential of whatever that rotation might look like once you're there? Because there is some competition. It's not a given what five guys will be on the floor.
Most definitely. I'd hope I'd be in the starting five. But the way I see it, all these guys are here to compete for spots, and not only for spots, but to win. And right now, I feel like it's very neck and neck, and these guys are going at each other every day in practice. We're all going at each other every day in practice, and not taking anything for granted, because your spot can be gone just like that if you don't show up and perform in practice, because you don't have scrimmage games, you don't have the warm-up game. Playing against a Pac-12 team that we have in the past, and playing against Point Loma in a scrimmage as we have in the past, and having an exhibition game. So you have to step up to the plate now. And that's what it's all about. And these guys are doing it. We're competing every day in practice. And so the starting five will be it'll be said by Coach Dutch, and it is what it is. And we'll go at it, all 15 guys, and go at it hard.
Thank you, Darnay. We do have a couple more minutes here with Matt Mitchell. Should you have a question, go ahead and raise your hand. Matt, if my math is correct, it looks like your next game will be your 100th as an Aztec. Looking back on your career, how special has this time been for you, growing as a basketball player, as a person, and being a part of one of the special runs in all of college basketball? I mean, the amount of 20-win seasons where it's year in and year out, an NCAA tournament. I mean, to be a part of this run and play such a pivotal role over such a long time, how special has that been for you?
Man, that's really special. I didn't even know it was going to be my 100th game. But I mean, that's very special to me. And this means the world to me, being able to play another year for the Aztecs and going out there and being able to put it out there, not only for my family, but for the Aztec community, for everybody that stood behind me for the past 4 years. It's just really big time. I feel like over the course of my 4 years, my game has grown. I've grown as a person, and just seeing so many different things just at a college aspect that not a lot of guys have had the opportunity to see and endure. So I'm definitely going into this, not taking anything for granted, and going to leave it out on the floor.
We do have one last question for you before we let you go here, Matt. It'll come from Bernie Wilson with the Associated Press.
Hey, Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Good, thank you. Dutch said the disappointment of missing the NC2As last year, his biggest disappointment was for the seniors who didn't get a chance to play. For the returning guys, you guys expected a high seed, a 1 or a 2, maybe. Is there still a lingering sense of disappointment, or do you guys use that as motivation for this year? Back to the NC2A?
Yeah, definitely. I've let all disappointment go by now. I think I'm out of disappointment, out of the stress over not being in the tournament. But I do take that motivation that we were in contention. And these guys that were here, you definitely take that as motivation to go into this year and to take it to all these teams that we have to play again, and take it one game. But just know that the ability to here.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt. I appreciate your time here today. Congratulations on once again being selected as All Mountain West. We look forward to seeing the new look Aztecs under your leadership on the basketball floor here real soon.